The 333 Fox Charlie regional departure radar contact, climb and maintain 3000.
I traveled the world as far as I would, discovered new places wherever I could, saw that's out there for people to see, but now I know where I want to be. Would you like to come with me, to share with me what I can see? A world so small, peaceful and calm, all the problems are somewhere far. Leave all the troubles far behind. I'll show you how to clear your mind. Close your eyes and touch the sky. Float away, all passes by. Higher and higher, come on, be free. Let us fly. Discover your dreams. Fly and touch the sky. Float away and take off high. Higher and higher, come on, be free. Let us fly until we
Flight 223, clear for takeoff.
Welcome everybody. This is the first part of what hopefully is going to be a series of videos related to aviation safety and aviation medicine. Flight simulator and cockpit builder community is accustomed to normal standardized operating procedures, but we are less experienced but have the more interest in abnormal procedures, some of which are featured in this non-professional program. Please follow me into the cockpit on a flight from Munich, Germany to Venice, Italy over the Alps. The cockpit preparations have already begun, and this is the CDU showing our flight route today. That's the advantage of the simulator, where you can go through situations that you don't normally go through in real life. Modern aircraft transportation is probably the safest way to travel. However, the FAA concluded in a study that they conducted in the late 1960s that the odds of experiencing cabin depressurization were 1 in 54,300 flight hours. What are the causes of cabin depressurization, and what are the consequences? What is the impact on flight and cabin crew? Well, we are going to see.
This is where we want to stay. We're coming on board, let's fly away. Close your eyes and touch the sky. Float away, all passes by. Higher and higher, come on, be free. Let us fly, discover your dreams. Fly and touch the sky. Float away and take off high. Higher and higher, come on, be free. Let us fly until we fly.
People flying in an airplane are at risk for suffering sustained organ malfunction in the event of cabin pressure loss. They can suffer from hypoxia caused by the insufficient oxygen partial pressure at high altitudes. Other reasons can be altitude sickness, which is caused by carbon dioxide gassing out of the blood and leading to alkalosis, decompression sickness due to precipitation of nitrogen causing gas embolism, and barotrauma caused by painful rises of gas volume inside various body cavities.
Hypoxia is the most dangerous. Normally, the human oxygen uptake is adapted to its environment. At sea level, the barometric pressure is about 1013 millibar or 14.7 psi. The oxygen fraction in the air is 21%, and therefore the oxygen partial pressure is 213 millibar. With increasing altitude above the sea level, barometric pressure and thus oxygen partial pressure decreases. This holds true also for the oxygen pressure in the alveoli inside the lung, where the oxygen diffuses into the blood. At sea level, alveolar oxygen pressure is 133 millibar. If this pressure falls below the critical value of 47 millibar, brain functions are impaired due to hypoxia. With normal breathing, this value is reached at 13,000 feet. The low oxygen partial pressure stresses chemoreceptors in the aorta, leading to increased inspiration volume and thus providing more oxygen. Subsequently, the critical oxygen partial pressure is reached only at about 23,000 feet. Above this altitude, the diffusion reverses and oxygen is pulled out of the blood, resulting in loss of organ function. This primarily affects the brain. Acute brain anoxia leads to impaired function after 5 seconds, to unconsciousness after 15 seconds, and to brain death after 5 minutes. Since airplanes climb much higher than that due to cost savings, and since they climb much faster than the human body could normally adapt to by proliferating red blood cells, airplanes need to be pressurized interiorly to maintain a ground-like environment for its crew and passengers. So there is a differential pressure between aircraft interior and surrounding air of about 11 psi. This is indicated on the differential pressure gauge on the overhead panel. It should read 0 on the ground. The cabin climb instrument shows the altitude equivalent of the cabin pressure. The pressurization requires the airfoil structure to be completely airtightly sealed. Compressed air is then taken from the turbine at the second and third stages in different amounts depending on the thrust setting and altitude, and this compressed air is guided to the packs or air cycle machines, where it is cooled down by ambient outside air. The part of compressed hot air taken from the engines is relatively small, so it has little importance to the fuel consumption. The air is cooled down for passenger comfort, and this can be regulated in the sectional temperature zones on the overhead. A part of the air is also used for equipment cooling, for example the PFD and ND monitors and the computer inside the E&E bay. Because the temperature attenuated E&E bay is next to the forward cargo compartment, animal containers are usually put there. To maintain a constant cabin pressure throughout the flight, a continuous input of compressed and attenuated air is needed from the engines. This is regulated automatically by valves. During descent, the pressurization of the cabin has to be slowly reduced to ground level again. In other words, the cabin is deflated. This is accomplished by an output valve located at the lower rear end of the fuselage. The inlet valves behind the turbines and the outlet valve are set automatically by the airplane's environmental control system to obtain a steady state and reduce the workload of the pilots. To sum up, the aircraft will be pressurized and depressurized during each flight, which is one flight cycle. You can imagine that there is considerable strain on the cabin structure joints with increasing airplane age.